It was the summer of 1969, a time of great excitement and change. The world was watching as the United States prepared for one of the most daring missions in human history, landing astronauts on the moon and bringing them back safely. The mission was called Apollo 11, and its success would fulfill President John F. Kennedy's 1961 challenge to land a man on the moon before the decade was over. Apollo 11's crew were 3 brave astronauts: Neil Armstrong, the mission commander; Buzz Aldrin, the lunar module pilot; and Michael Collins, the command module pilot. Together, they would embark on a journey that no one had ever taken before. They knew the risks were high. This mission could make history or end in disaster. On July 16, 1969, the massive Saturn V rocket stood on the launch pad at Cape Kennedy in Florida. The world held its breath as the countdown reached 0. With a thunderous roar and a blinding flash of light, Apollo 11 blasted off, carrying the hopes and dreams of humanity. The rocket's 3 stages fired perfectly, propelling the spacecraft into orbit and then on its way to the moon. Inside the spacecraft, the astronauts worked as a team. Michael Collins stayed aboard the command module Columbia, which would orbit the moon. Meanwhile, Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin prepared to land on the lunar surface aboard the Lunar Module Eagle. On July 20, 1969, the Eagle began its descent to the moon. It was a tense moment. Armstrong and Aldrin had to manually steer the spacecraft to avoid a boulder-strewn area. Fuel was running low, and mission control in Houston anxiously monitored every move. Finally, Armstrong's voice crackled over the radio. "Houston, Tranquility Base here. The Eagle has landed." Cheers erupted at mission control, and millions of people watching around the world celebrated. But the mission was not over yet. A few hours later, Neil Armstrong descended the Eagle's ladder. With cameras rolling, he stepped onto the lunar surface, becoming the first human to walk on the moon. His words were unforgettable. "That's one small step for a man, one giant leap for mankind." Buzz Aldrin soon joined him, and the 2 astronauts spent over 2 hours exploring. They collected moon rocks, took photographs, and planted an American flag. They also left behind a plaque that read, "We came in peace for all mankind." After their historic moonwalk, Armstrong and Aldrin returned to the Eagle and rejoined Michael Collins in orbit. The crew then began their journey back to Earth. On July 24th, Apollo 11 splashed down safely in the Pacific Ocean, where the astronauts were greeted as heroes. Apollo 11 was more than just a mission. It was a defining moment for humanity. For the first time, people left their home planet and set foot on another world. It was a triumph of science, teamwork, and human courage. The moon landing showed what was possible when people dared to dream big and work together. Even today, the story of Apollo 11 inspires generations to reach for the stars. It reminds us that with determination and innovation, we can achieve the impossible. The footprints left by Armstrong and Aldrin are still on the moon, a lasting symbol of humanity's greatest adventure.